If you don't have pretty privilege, then what's stopping you from having it? Is it the societal beauty standards? The lack of validation from others? Or are you sabotaging yourself? In today's video, I am going to discuss 5 characters that you might be playing in real life that might be hindering your pretty privilege. Let's get into it. Hello, my name is Tammy and welcome back to my channel. So before we get into the 5 characters, let's break down the construct of beauty. So the social construct of beauty is based on ideas that society has agreed upon and ideas that have been ingrained in our systems and psyches over time that have been accepted as the norm. So along with what we naturally find beautiful, society has shaped us to believe what is considered as acceptable or highly desired beauty standards. And along with that comes pretty privilege. A privilege in which someone receives advantages, more opportunities, and benefits, and is treated better based off of their physical appearance. Now, a lot of times when pretty privilege is being discussed, I hear a lot of verbiage like, I'm not the pretty friend, or the guys don't like me, the guys don't choose me, I was never called pretty, or someone said this to me or treated me this way and it made me feel less valued. Now, while all of those feelings are valid, that is a lot of power being given to other people and circumstances. And we also give social media a lot of power when it comes to how we feel about ourselves, when we do and should hold the power in our own hands. The goal is for us to take back that power and to keep that power. And a lot of women could have pretty privilege, but they don't know how to access it. And sometimes they're blocking it by portraying one of these 5 characters. So now, let's introduce the players. The 5 characters are the assistant, the magnifier, the slacker, the violet, and the saboteur. Now let's break them all down. Number 1, the assistant. This character is exactly how it is stated. They assist. They assist the main character or the friend who has the pretty privilege. The assistant is not the main character in her life. Although she plays a huge role, she is more like a co-star. This character is usually a part of a friendship duo and is the best friend and wing woman to the friend who has pretty privilege. When you see one of them, you see the other. These girls are very tight. They have known each other for a long time and perhaps grew up together. Now, the assistant is very attractive, but she doesn't quite know how to navigate it on her own. She doesn't capitalize off of it. She wants pretty privilege, but doesn't know how to get it or use it. The assistant kind of plays a more nonchalant role and can be very oblivious when it comes to her positioning in friendships and in other places. The assistant could and would have access to pretty privilege too, if she spent more time on achieving her own gains instead of assisting others with theirs. This character often helps the main friend find a man or helps them with relationship troubles, although they are struggling with their own. The assistant often mainly does what the main friend wants to do, even if she doesn't want to. She often gives other people advice about their life problems, although she doesn't quite have her life together. She is often in the shadow of the main friend, knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. Instead of being competitive, she allows herself to take a secondary role and has inadvertently given herself permission to be second in line. Now, here and there, the assistant will turn it up a notch and will get attention, but in the back of her mind, she doubts herself because she feels that she will never get as much attention as her friend or others who have pretty privilege. This character assists other people with their goals and roots them on, but she often forgets to root herself on. Because she's not used to getting first place, she's okay with getting the silver or the bronze medal because at least she gets to stand on the pedestal. Number 2, the magnifier. Now, I named this character the magnifier because they magnify everything. So just like a magnifying glass, this character makes themselves seem larger than what they really are. This character would easily have pretty privilege if they would just calm down. This friend is the loudest in the group, extra flashy, and always doing too much. They don't know how to just chill. Somewhere down the line, someone told or made this character feel unimportant or not enough. So they always feel they have to overcompensate. This character is usually the funny one in the group. The guys often refer to her as their homegirl, or she gives off only friend vibes instead of girlfriend vibes. She always overdresses, but not in the most flattering way. She could use a dose of less is more in a lot of categories. She is extra. Even when she is telling a story, she is known to exaggerate. This character is pretty, but she doesn't feel that she is, and often feels as if she is the most unattractive one in her friend group, which is why she fights so hard to be seen and heard. This personality can be fun, but also very annoying. This personality makes bold moves and will go up to men, but will also repel them. This type gets a lot of attention, but not always for the right reasons, but she's okay with that because it's still attention, and she feels it's better to get some attention than nothing at all. This character overdoes her hair, makeup, and clothes, and has a big energy around others. But is often quiet and quite the opposite when she is alone. This is the girl that when she's quiet, you ask if something is wrong because you're not used to her being this way. This character is often not taken seriously, and some may just see her as a good time. This type has a problem with being herself and hides behind being a larger-than-life personality. But when they tone it down and bring it down some notches, they are very desirable. They are afraid that others won't like them for just being themselves, and this type often tends to be unrecognizable without makeup because they are much more beautiful without it. Number 3, the slacker. Now, this is not necessarily a negative thing, but whether good or bad, it is something that this character is doing. They are slacking. This is the character that everyone sleeps on because they sleep on themselves, meaning they have forgotten about themselves. She has forgotten about herself. This girl was a true it girl. She used to be that girl. She was known for her looks and fit body. She was known as the pretty girl, but for some reason has seemed to just let herself go. This character used to eat healthy or go to the gym a lot, but no longer goes, or she used to have a naturally banging body. This character used to be heavy on self-care, now barely wants to even comb her hair. She may have gained some unwanted weight, which is a big deal for others who were not used to seeing her with the extra weight. Now, I have a soft spot for this character because usually they have forgotten about themselves and put themselves last because they may have gone through a traumatic experience, getting over heartbreak, recently divorced, has had a child or children, and has devoted herself to them and doesn't know when the last time she had a girls' night out or a date night with her husband or boyfriend. This type has forgotten how good she used to look when she runs across an old picture of herself, but still isn't enthused to do anything about it. She is often tired and usually wears comfortable clothing and her hair in a top knot or a messy bun of some sort. She is not worried about looks because she is literally just trying to make it through the day. Also, this type can be a caretaker and maybe taking care of a loved one. This type doesn't feel excited or doesn't have the time to tend to herself and is selfless and usually helping everyone else. The other version of this type is a character who doesn't try hard enough. For example, she may complain about her weight but won't stop eating bad foods or go to the gym. Now, she wants to be pretty and look good, but is just too lazy to do something about it. She will often start self-improvement projects, but she will never complete them or she will stop earlier in the process. This type wants to compete but doesn't want to do what it takes to give herself a competitive edge. She often complains but does very little about it. She takes too many shortcuts, which stifles her growth. She is the girl that keeps saying, "I'm gonna get it together," but never actually gets it together. This girl would literally have it all if she would just take 3 to 6 months and just work on herself. She has all the potential in the world but lacks drive and focus. If this girl finally got it together, she would be the best underdog story and the best makeover story. Number 4, the Violet. Now, this character is very, very special and also kind of makes me sad. Now, this character is called the Violet because she shrinks herself around others. She has many more levels and facets to her personality, but shrinks it down to a complacent and singular role. She becomes whatever she needs to be to fit in and does not overstep or overshadow. She does this because she doesn't feel she deserves to have more rank and chooses to just stay in her place. She is never fully herself and limits herself. So one version or example of this character, so let's say for example we have a friendship group, and inside of this friendship group we have one friend who is heavier or the heavy set friend. She is the cool girl that appears confident but secretly loathes how she's always described as the big friend, or as the driver in the group, or the funny one, but never the pretty one. She doesn't feel desired because there is some kind of notable difference between her and her friends. It could be weight, skin tone, it could be that she's an introvert, she could be the one in the group that doesn't drink. There is something different about her that makes her at times feel ostracized. She often puts on a facade and goes along to get along. Although she cares and values her friends, she doesn't speak on how she feels at times because she's just happy to be a part and doesn't want anything to jeopardize that. This girl is very beautiful, full of life, full of potential, but no one seems to notice or care at times because she doesn't show it and they're used to seeing her in a one-dimensional way. She is oftentimes the most unique one of the group. Her flaw is actually her strength and what makes her stand out, but instead of using it as a tool, she hides it and she feels insecure about it. She often suppresses what she really feels. She's usually the most interesting one in the group, the one with the most substance, but around men, she feels the most invisible, ignored. So instead of combating that, she plays into it because it's just easier, and because she doesn't feel she gets attention, she doesn't look for it and is shocked when she is chosen over her friends. This girl is a real gem and does better in one-on-one settings because it's easier for her to be herself when she doesn't feel like she has to compete for attention, especially with more dominant personalities. And number 5, the Saboteur. Now be very, very careful with this one. Now I saved this one for last because it is the most powerful and the most dangerous. This one can come in many versions and on many levels. The Saboteur can be you, someone you know, and or someone you least expect. So let's first talk about when the Saboteur is you, when you are literally sabotaging yourself. Now, when you are your own saboteur, this character often thinks negative thoughts about themselves and discourages themselves. They struggle with self-confidence to the point that when something good is happening for them, they find it hard to believe and they start to feel guilty as if they don't deserve it. They talk themselves out of good things, and good things for them are usually too good to be true. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with that feeling of I'm not good enough or I don't deserve this. This can be a common feeling that people do struggle with, but this personality type does this more consistently than the average person. When things start to go good for them, they have negative thoughts. This type is afraid of success, but also afraid of failure, which is why they find themselves in a constant cycle of starting things but not completing things. This affects them in personal relationships as well as romantic relationships because people that truly love and care about them want them to succeed. But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. This type could very easily have pretty privilege if they would just stop overthinking and get out of their own way. They sometimes can't notice blessings or good things when they are happening to them because they are too worried thinking about what could go wrong. This type behaves this way because they've usually dealt with a series of unfortunate events or one or a few traumatic events that has them questioning the good in their life. This type also usually is in fear or worries because they can't afford for anything to go wrong. This type is too easy on themselves or too hard on themselves and just needs to find that middle ground and believe that good things can actually happen to them and they will absolutely blossom. Now, another version of the saboteur is when it's someone close to you that you know and love that projects their fears and negativity onto you. This could be a toxic friend, a toxic partner in a relationship, or even a sibling or a mother. For example, this type may have a mother that is really hard on them and treats them poorly or unfairly. They may spew toxic or negative language to them or not believe in them and may be volatile towards them. This is a person close to you that you love that makes you feel bad and not worthy, and you may want their respect or their approval, but because you don't get it, you sometimes let their negative things they say and do hinder you and affect you emotionally and mentally. So in return, when you are under this type of heaviness, you can't fully bloom and be yourself. It's hard to feel pretty even if others tell you you are under this type of stress, because when you get up, that person tends to bring you right back down, causing this character to have self-esteem and emotional issues. Now, the third version of the saboteur that I want to discuss is called the secret saboteur. Sometimes you may have a saboteur and you may not know who it is. It can be someone further away from you or someone right underneath your nose. Usually they are very, very close to you. Now, this type of saboteur is very tricky and smart when it comes to you because they have learned you. You need to be very observant to spot this saboteur, and you need to study them and watch their body language when they don't think you're watching, because they are watching you. Now, you have to find out who this saboteur is, outsmart them, and then get away from them. So this saboteur is usually a close friend, like I stated, and they have pretty privilege. And they know that you could have it too. And they may not mind you having pretty privilege, but they don't want you to have it over them. So this saboteur will purposely hang out with friends who she feels she is more attractive than, more confident than. She will purposely go to places with her friend group that she knows is more catered to her, where she knows she will get the most attention. She knows your weaknesses. Remember, because you told her all of them. Because you're close. So she will take your weaknesses and put you in a place and situations where your weaknesses shine and her strengths shine. She doesn't mind that you get attention as long as you don't get more than her. She needs you to look good because, in a way, you represent her, but just don't look better than her. This friend may call you up before you guys go out and ask you what you're wearing, not because she just wants to be on the same page with you. She wants to make sure that your outfit is not better than hers. She wants to make sure that she outshines you. She blocks your shine because she sees your potential and she knows or believes that one day you may surpass her. In a way, she is your blocker. Now, she may care for you and have your back when she needs to because she does need you to be on her team. She does need an advocate and someone she knows that she can use to make her feel good about herself or better about herself. Now, this person may not necessarily be a bad person, but she is selfish and she feels she lacks something and is secretly insecure. She doesn't even realize how special she is, but she does know how to outsmart you and she knows that you will never suspect her. This saboteur feeds off of you and she doesn't want to lose you because she needs to be close to you. And she may also sabotage your relationship with your other friends to maintain her positioning with you. So these are the characters or roles that some take on that actually block their pretty privilege or them reaching their higher or highest potential. Pretty privilege is not just about having a pretty face or others thinking you have a pretty face. It's about you actually feeling pretty within yourself and confident within yourself and you living and being in your highest light. There are people that are very attractive that don't even know it or have access to it because they are exuding one of these traits and are sabotaging themselves. So in conclusion, are you one of these character types or do you know someone who exudes one or more of these traits? And what do you think about the saboteur? Now that one is very, very interesting. I want to know what you all think. So please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.